Althea. Welcome. We're on Althea's land, the Glastonbury Institute for Sustainable Agriculture. If I got that right?
Yeah.
Yes. Beautiful land, lots of herbs, great opportunity to actually see the herbs we're talking about growing right here on the ground. We're going to turn this over to Althea, and we're going to go over some of the herbs. She actually has most of the herbs we're going over today growing out here. So we're going to go over some of the herbs, and you'll get to see them and identify them up close.
Hi everyone, welcome to Glastonbury. I hope we can get your feet on the ground pretty soon. This is these are my main gardens, although I do have over 50 beds. Let me also just say that if you look around, pretty much everywhere you look, these are herbs. So for example, we have Dioscorea, wild yam, Dioscorea villosa. We have Hishiwu in the ground there. We have everywhere you look. This is mostly herbs. But today we're going to talk about some of the herbs that we're actually studying today. So follow me and we're going to look at echinacea. Oh my gosh. Did you see the Verbena hastata?
Beautiful.
Isn't that crazy? All right, let's see. This is a pretty good one. Except it's being devoured.
There's some over there.
Yeah, let's go over there. Because that one's being swallowed up by the...
So it's kind of late in the season. Oh, spilanthes. That's a crazy one.
Yeah, and actually we should probably talk about that too,
Careful.
even though it's not one of your listed herbs, but... Alrighty. So this beauty, everyone, which is, these are volunteers. They're growing up in the middle of my Bicol skullcap. This is a classic aster, Asteraceae family. That means that it has a disc, which is composed of little tiny flowers. Every single one of those little orange guys is an actual flower. And what we think of as petals, the rays, disc and ray, but the petal is really not a true petal. It's actually, I wish I could get this to come off. There we go. It's actually another plant. Those are tiny sexual organs. Echinacea is a prairie plant, so you see it wherever there's sandy soil. You can see the leaf. It's got this kind of lance-shaped leaf with one strong central vein and then smaller ribs all coming off this. Look at this. The way it has this super long stem, and then you can look at the back as well. There are many kinds of cone flowers, but this is Echinacea angustifolia, which is our medicinal one. And there are a number of them. You can see them. These are popping up wild all over our garden. And like not all asters are disc and ray. Some are just flowering heads. But the old-fashioned name was composite, meaning it was a composite flower. And then you can see also it has these sepals. It's a very distinctive sepals, these green leaf-like little, and some plants, that's all they have are sepals. Oh, if we look at the back, you can see, you see how these are actually little flowers. And the other thing that is, all the Asteraceae, not all, but many of the Asteraceae kind of look like daisies, right? Chamomile would be a common Asteraceae. So here's our friend Echinacea. What we harvest with Echinacea, some people do use the aerial portions, but honestly, what's considered medicinal is the root. This is a young one, so it doesn't have a whole lot of a root, but this is the part that we mostly use. It's one of our nature's favorite antivirals, antibacterials. All right, let's go look. This is a second-year mullein. The first year doesn't have a stalk. It just has a basal rosette of leaves, and its nickname is camper's toilet paper because it's so soft and fuzzy. But this is what it does in its second year, is it puts forth this flowering stalk. These flowers are excellent when you infuse them in an oil and you use them for children's earaches. Mullein flower oil. And if you want to make it a super powerful ear oil, you can make the mullein flower. Oh, look at these beautiful, do you see those purple stamens? You can make mullein flower oil and then combine it with garlic infused oil. And if you want a triple potent ear oil, you would combine it with St. John's wort, all three. But anyhow, this is one of my favorite things to do, and I need to make some oil. So I'll show you a first year as we go. Okay.
Hi. Althea's going to show you an herb called spilanthes that's useful for a number of things. I didn't have the space to put it into this lesson, but it's a part of her antiviral tonic that she's going to share with you in a little bit. So I thought you should see it. It's really a cool looking plant.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm going to be spitting. One of the favorite tricks, this is a sialagogue, and one of the favorite tricks we play on new visitors is my children would do this. You have people eat one of these little flowers, it makes you spit. You foam at the mouth, literally. Anyway, this is an Ayurvedic plant. In this climate, it does not overwinter. So I have to plant it every year from seed and grow it. It's a huge anti-malarial, and it's good for all kinds of feverish type illnesses. Hence why I use it in my antiviral. And when I was in the Amazon, rather than doing now very controversial hydrochlora whatever quin, you know, the anti-malarial, I did this on a daily basis. It's kind of a weedy looking plant, and it's succulent. You see the stem?
Interesting.
But the thing that makes this plant totally distinctive is these weird flowers, which children often call alien eyes. And you can see why. It's a wonderful plant. All right, this is astragalus, and this is a first year. I just grew it from seed. I'll show you some bigger ones in a moment, but I have to grow this for a minimum of 4 years. The root is really what we're going for, so it takes time to mature. This is, if you look at these leaves, you'll notice it reminds you of something. Pea plant, right? Mm-hmm. This is in the Leguminosae family, and it gets the classic pea-like flower, which is yellow and is, you know, banner and keel. But this is astragalus when it's really little. This is a really powerful chi tonic. It increases C57 counts. We use it for AIDS. We use it for all kinds of debilitating illnesses. It's also a super powerful lung tonic. And again, it's an herb that I put in my antiviral because it is such a powerful immune boosting tonic. And I'm trying to think, this is a Chinese herb. Let me show you a bigger version of it. These are first year guys. These are about 3 years old. They're looking a little burned at the moment because it's late in the year and they've already gone to flower.
Hey, we're going to jump into the next lesson for a minute just because we're out here. Here is thyme. This is a great herb for upper respiratory infections, among other things.
Not to mention a wonderful spice, and like many culinary herbs, it's a vermifuge, which means taken internally it can help kill parasites. Look at these beautiful, this is in the mint family. Mints have a number of characteristics. One of them is square stems. The other is opposing leaves. And then you get these cute little flowers. We should find a bigger mint, but that they have these downward pointing lips and then the upward pointing. But this is a classic mint. The other thing about mints are the flowers tend to grow in clusters up the stalks, so it's kind of like a Dr. Seuss animal, you know, those funny guys with the long necks and that's what I always think of when I think of mints. But you can see this has got beautiful little rounded leaves. It has a really strong aroma. Mm-hmm. And you can tell this plant is medicinal when you smell it. Mm-hmm. You know, it just smells like it's going to kill something. I wish I... Let's see. Oh, so nice. See if you can get a good close-up of these flowers. They're so pretty. I love mint flowers. Many, 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 many of our medicinal plants are mints. Sage is a mint. Oregano, thyme, motherwort. These are all mints.
They have the volatile oils.
Yes.
That are highly antimicrobial. And for another lesson that's coming up, our lesson on skin, we've come across a flowering comfrey.
And this is one of my favorite plants. Yeah, look at these beautiful flowers. They're like downward hanging bells. This is in the Boraginaceae family. And all plants in that family tend to have kind of grayish, greenish color, and they're hairy when you touch them. They're sort of rough. This is also a great example of the doctrine of signatures. So this is often a respiratory herb. Look at the way that leaf resembles a lung, with the branching out of the ribs and then the spreading out into the smaller segments, just like the alveoli in the lung. Eleutherococcus senticosus, eleuthero. It's a huge immune tonic. It's often called Siberian ginseng. It's not really a true Aralia, but which is the plant family in which ginseng belongs, but you can see why they thought that, because look at these 5 leaves, 3 bigger ones, 2 smaller ones, and then look down here at this little humble critter. That is our own true American ginseng, Panax ginseng. Rare, very rare. Eleuthero gets, as you can see, really big. And I often wonder about that, whether it's something about Siberia, just you got to be hardy to survive. Everything seems to get big. But you can see it's really like a tree. And the part we use is the root. Eleuthero is like super strengthening to the immune system. It really helps the heart because it's a peripheral vasodilator, so it moves the blood. This is an important herb in the treatment of COVID-19 because we need herbs that move the blood, and eleuthero is one of them.
What does it mean to move the blood?
It gets the circulation flowing, and it also makes the blood more slippery, so it prevents clotting. And hypercoagulation is one of the big problems with COVID-19. So Danshen and this critter, these are herbs that are pretty important. But this is always a component in my antiviral formula because it just strengthens the body, and it also strengthens the adrenals, which means that it expands your ability to handle stress, which is being stressed out is one of the reasons why we get sick, right? So this herb is kind of like one of those herbs that does 6 or 7 super important things. And we'll also take a really quick look down here at ginseng because this is an example of a permaculture bed that has succeeded. My ginseng is jumping outside the bed. Or ginseng, I'm sorry, golden seal is jumping outside the bed. This is golden seal. It looks a little sad because it doesn't like the heat, but it'll come back. And it has been fruiting, but looks like the berries are all gone, unfortunately. Oh, wait a minute. No. So it's kind of a big sloppy leaf with lots of different lobes, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lobes.
It's very distinctive.
Yeah, well, what makes it distinctive to me is the way where the lobes are coming off the stem. It forms almost like a cup. You know, it has this kind of, and it's sort of like a maple leaf. You know, that's one of the other ways that I sort of remember this guy. But one of the things you'll notice is every stalk has only 2. Mm-hmm. Only 2. So you can see that. 2, right? 2.
And it stays low to the ground, too.
2. Yes. Yes, it does. But look at that. It's just spreading like crazy. This is Joe Pye weed, which I really don't want in here.
We covered this before. It's an antimicrobial. Did we cover golden seal? No, we covered Japanese barberry.
Yeah, which is another great
source. It's a good source of berberine, which is the point. And berberine is a really potent antimicrobial. Great for the gut too, for gut issues. It's useful for all kinds of conditions.
You're right, and that's one of the main uses of golden seal actually, but it's a huge antimicrobial. Mm-hmm. And again, it has an affinity for the GI tract. But this is not an herb you would want to use too long term because it does deplete B vitamins from the gut. You know, but definitely you could use it for a month or 2, right? A fellow here is burdock, and it's a pretty weedy fellow. I'm sure you will see this in Chicago alleys. And one of the all docks have similar kinds of leathery leaves. with kind of reddish, veining and reddish stems. Burdock is no exception. In its second year and thereafter, it will send up this big stalk with the infamous burrs, which actually the burrs are somewhat medicinal. We take the seeds, but you got to get the seeds out of the burr. So my recommendation is you put them all in a paper bag, stick them on your driveway and back your car up over them a couple times, and then you can get the seeds out. The Chinese use the seeds to treat things like measles. It helps bring it to the surface up and out, so it makes the rash, express itself more quickly. But this is a very tonic root, and it's also good for the immune system. It's arguably an adaptogen, but it's delicious eating. If you go to Whole Foods, you can find the roots. They look like black carrots, and they're great in stews. I put them in my wei chi soup, actually. But you can see this is actually a number of burdock plants, for which I'm kind of excited because this is like right on my driveway. This is just a weed, but lo and behold, we now have it. And look at the back side. One of the things about burdock is the back is white and the top is green. And you see this red in the little vein structure, right? I love burdock. Alrighty, burdock, what else? This pretty fellow here is turkey tail. And you can see why they call it turkey tail if you look at those striations. This grows throughout my wood. It is edible. It's also very medicinal, but if you get it when it's young, it's tasty. And but this is a really good medicine. Both of these, look at the back.
That's important because then you can distinguish it from the false turkey tail, right?
Right, exactly. Although you might speak to that better than I. I'm not a pro at mushroom recognition. Although, yeah, I forget. What is it?
I believe that although they look on the top, they look very. Hi. On the top, they look and this is just from what I read. I'm no expert either. On the top, they look very similar, right? The turkey tail and then the false turkey tail, the one that looks like it. But you can tell it's turkey tail because on the back you see it's smooth with all these little tiny dots, whereas a false turkey tail actually has gills like a normal mushroom would, like the stripe.
There you go.
Yeah, so you can tell this turkey tail because you don't see those gills. So this is the real thing. It's highly medicinal. It's an amazing, and this is one of those too that I think boosts the production of immune cells.
Right.
I can't remember if it's T's or B's or
these
both.
are huge anti-cancer remedies.
Big ones.
Anti-mutagenics. They're amazing for that. Okie doke.